So spiritually, something was leading me to go to the closing night of Snapshots here in New Orleans. So just to let y'all know what Snapshots is, Snapshots is like a combination of the oral queer history of New Orleans, trans people, trans femmes, black and indigenous trans femmes specifically. And my voice was featured in multiple parts of this piece this year and the last time they did it in 2023. And I take that as an honor, having the opportunity to have my voice be a foundation amongst so many other iconic, powerful trans femmes, black and indigenous trans femmes here in New Orleans. You know, just hearing my voice heard with legendary girls, to name a few that I recognize right off the top of my head: Wendy Cooper and Kanisha. It was some other girls that were a part of it. I couldn't make out their voice per se, but I knew Wendy voice when I heard it, and I knew Kanisha voice when I heard it. And to be amongst those titans who have endured both positives and negatives systematically here in Louisiana, dealing with the prison system, dealing with the crime against nature laws, and there's a certain type of pain that is heard in the voices of girls who've had those experiences, but there's also a joy. And so last night, as the play was winding up, shout out to all of the people who did such an amazing job in putting on the production. Kyra Kincaid, who I used to dance with at Papa Joe's, was the matriarch. My big sister Kyra, my sister Jasmine, who we've had ups, downs, ins, and outs, but we've been in each other's lives almost 30 years. We both turned 48 this year. Seeing us go from where we were 20 plus years ago to where we are now, you know, it's a 360, and it shows you what is possible. And we stand on the backs, on the shoulders of our sisters who transitioned this realm, who passed on, and in their passing, they gave us their light, they gave us their strength, they imbued us with their power. And I am so thankful to have so many sisters that have loved on us and that we can pull strength from the ether, from the ancestral plane. Who were lessons, who were mirrors that prepared us to survive in a world where we are ostracized, marginalized, and make up less than 1% of the population. I thank you for the titans that we come from. Amen, a woman. But I also want to thank the creatives who had the vision to tell that story. Indy, for your vision, for his vision in making this possible, and just everyone who played a part in making it possible. So many talented artists, the people behind the scenes who were, you know, helping to set the stage up to make sure that the transitions were right, the music, and there was this one moment that reminded me of Postcards from Over the Edge. They have this song where they say, trans life is the only life I know. Trans lives. And when they were singing that, it took me back. It reminded me of when me and Jasmine did Postcards from Over the Edge, because there's a moment in there where I have this song called Street Life, which is based off of, their real song, the original song, Street Life is the only life I know. Street Life. So I redid that as like a poem. And when I saw it, and so my version was a poem, and Kevin Wendell had created a soundtrack to it, and I released it. But it was like an all queer, Black, indigenous choir, you guys will say, like, I'm singing the song, and it was just chilling, to hear the power. There was just so many beautiful moments. It was a well-written, funny, entertaining, enlightening, thoughtful piece that teaches, and it was able to have all of these multi-dimensional aspects of it. And I was just glad to be one of the voices that was recorded into the piece that helped to anchor it. Child, my voice was the first voice you heard before the show started, so that was a complete honor. And it was well worth going to see the production twice, opening and closing night. I was kind of tired the second night because I think I had really, really turned up and had most of my fun the night before. So I was kind of like battling, sleep and itis and, all that the second night. But I'm still so glad that I went, because I got a chance to see a sister who I had not seen in 20 years, Peaches, and we both post-op now, and she was this tall, athletic, yellow red bone that I met in Alexandria, and she looks so damn good now, and her spirit is still so beautiful and happy, and oh my goodness, she looks amazing. I mean, that was the highlight of mine. I wish I wouldn't have been exhausted from the night before, and I wish I would have had more energy to really, really just kind of like, just show her how much I missed her. But I was kind of tired from the night before, but I still was just very happy to see her. And it was so funny because only girls from Alexandria know me by Kiki. And so when she walked up to me, I didn't know who she was. And she said Kiki. And when she said Kiki, I said Peaches. So I instantly knew who she was by the name that she called me. Because typically, if you from Bogalusa, or if you're from Bogalusa, you might call me by my birth name. You may call me by the name that was assigned to me at birth, and which I'm not ashamed of. It's Antoine Leray, but it's not spelled the French way. It's spelled with, like, the original spelling had 13 letters, gag. And when you put Antoine Leray together, because my middle name was Leray, so that's why my middle name is Lorraine Nail. So Antoine Leray is fishy. It's very androgynous. Antoine Leray. Yes, I love it. But anyway, so if you're from Bogalusa, you would probably say Antoine. But my family called me Tila. So Tila's been my nickname since I was a child. That's why I legally changed my name to Tila. So New Orleans, they typically gonna say Tila or Sassy. Bogalusa gonna say Tila or Antoine. And New York gonna say Kaneen. And Alexandria is gonna say Kiki. Yes, I'm known by many names, of course. Many names, because they're all things. I'm my mother and my father, my grandmother and my grandfather, my great-great-grandmothers and my great-great-grandfathers, and those who did not subscribe to labels. But anyway, I digress. I'm whole, but let me stop. Calm down, girl. I'm excited. But anyway, yes. So last night I saw her and she spilled so much tea. So much tea. I'm still processing the tea. I'm gonna have to do another video talking about the tea, and we're gonna have to get into the tea because there was a lot of tea that we spilled in a short amount of time. But yeah, it was amazing to have the opportunity to be in a space where my voice was being honored and respected and celebrated, and to see so many brilliant queer artists take the stage and put out a piece that, in my opinion, surpasses the work that some of these billionaires out here doing, like TP. But I digress. Yeah, amazing. I was just so honored, and that was the icing on the cake. Seeing a sister who I had not seen in 20 years doing so well and looking amazing. Yeah, so that was how last night was for me. In closing, I want to remind y'all, next week on my YouTube platform at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern Time, we'll be doing a PowerPoint presentation that will be explaining Purple Thought in more detail, more clearly, as a tribute to Trans Remembrance Week. This is my tribute to the movement, and it is just like a more clear and detailed message behind how New Legacy evolved into Laylim Layler, and Purple Thought is pretty much just a more mainstream way of saying Laylim Layler. Laylim Layler and Purple Thought are the same thing. So, but that will be explained more in the live that will be next Sunday on the 16th at 4 o'clock. Yes, next Sunday, the 16th at 4 o'clock Central, we will be doing a presentation with more detail about Purple Thought. So if you follow me on TikTok and you want to be present for that presentation, then make sure you show up. I'd love to see you there. This is a monumental time. I've never done a PowerPoint presentation on live. I've never used Zoom on live. So these are things that I have to figure out this week. So either you could come there to see me succeed, or you could come there to see me mess up. But whatever reason you're there, you may come with messiness in your heart, and you might leave feeling blessed and glad you made it. So I hope to see y'all virtually on my YouTube platform next Sunday at 4 o'clock. Not only are we honoring Trans Remembrance Week, but we're also celebrating 2 million views on my YouTube platform. And it means a lot considering the content that I do. You know, some people do 2 million views in one video, but my grandmother used to always say it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I think how I create content is difficult because I don't give into the need to be famous, you know, the need to follow trends. I started doing this work because when I was younger, I didn't have a voice like mine to help me decide who I wanted to become. You know, one of my first mentors taught me how to do sex work so I could help pay their bills. And I don't hate them for that, because that's where they were. That's what their mentor taught them. And so I have not been always the perfect mentor. I am human. I'm having a human experience. So I'm just thankful to be able to be vulnerable enough to be transparent about my perceivable faults and continue to strive towards being the version of myself that can be celebrated and that can guide others towards wholeness, looking at not only my successes but my flaws, because we are mirrors. So either way, it's a blessing with that perspective. Amen and woman. Laylim, Layler Nation, Purple Ones, rise.